and welcome to my channel, where I mostly share my love of fragrance and enjoying my collection. In this video, I'll be reviewing the new Zara Red Temptation Summer perfume. Thank you so much for stopping by, and let's get started. I wanted to share a review of the new Red Temptation Summer perfume from Zara, as well as a comparison to the original Red Temptation. I'll also share some comparisons with other scents in my collection. Red Temptation Summer is a new release, and I believe it's limited edition. The bottle is the same as the original Red Temptation, which is quite a heavy glass. It comes in a 2.7-ounce bottle, and I purchased mine for $29.90 US, but now the price seems to be $35.90. It seems like Zara just raised the prices on all the perfumes in this packaging, which is unfortunate. I first saw this on Coco Peb's channel, and you should check out her review as well because she's hilarious. And I believe she mentioned somewhere that the price went up in the UK as well. This scent does seem to go in and out of stock online, and I believe it's available in stores as well, though when I checked my store, they didn't have it in stock. Red Temptation Summer has top notes of lychee and raspberry, mid notes of rose petals and peony, and base notes of amber, praline, and musk. And this opens really pretty with a slightly sharp mix of the raspberry and lychee, as well as a soft, powdery floral that seems heavier on rose than peony. There's a nice light, fresh sweetness to the fruity floral mix. And as it dries, the amber brings in some warmth, and the musk gives it a lighter, airier quality. I'm not getting a ton of the praline, though the scent does have some sweetness. And I feel like the peony is more prominent in the dry down, which is a warm and sweet powdery floral with a bit of fruitiness. It's a very fresh and clean feeling scent, and it reminds me a bit of Versace Bright Crystal, although they don't have similar notes. I did test it against the Bright Crystal Absolute that I have, and while the notes smell very different and the Versace is much sharper, they both have that light, fresh, fruity feeling. Perhaps the original Bright Crystal would be closer, but I don't have that in my collection. Overall, I think that Red Temptation Summer is a really pretty fragrance, as I love soft, powdery florals, and I like the added fruitiness in it, so I'm really glad that I picked it up. I wanted to test this against the original Red Temptation perfume, and that one has top notes of saffron, bitter orange, and coriander, mid notes of praline and jasmine, and base notes of amber, moss, and musk. And this is of course known as a dupe of scents like Baccarat Rouge and Cloud, and to me it does share a very similar quality. It opens with saffron, but it's not super spicy. And I get a bit of the bitter orange as well as the jasmine, but the scent isn't overly floral. I also find it's very ambery, and it has a nice muskiness to it as well. And there's a subtle, light powdery sweetness, but I don't get an overwhelming amount of the praline or other super sweet note. To me, it feels like a soft, subtly sweet, woody, ambery scent. I think that this scent is okay, but I prefer other similar scents with something added, like the extra sweetness in Ariana Grande Cloud or the fruitiness in Burberry Her. I think that this is pretty close to, but not quite as good as Victoria's Secret's Midnight Bloom Body Mist. When I compare Red Temptation Summer to the original, I find that the scents are quite different. While they share some notes like amber, praline, and musk, the summer version is more powdery with sweet floral and some fruitiness, while the original is more woody, ambery, and spicy. I feel like there is a hint of the original in the summer version though, but it's like 10% of the scent, so overall they don't feel that similar. I actually prefer the new summer version, so I'm really glad that Zara released this. I will note though that the original does seem a bit stronger than the summer version. First up for my comparisons is Parfums de Marly Delina, which includes notes of lychee, rose, peony, and vanilla, combined with Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540, which includes notes of saffron, amberwood, ambergris, and cedar. And I feel like these scents alone are not similar to Red Temptation Summer, but that combining them could give a similar feeling. The combo is definitely way stronger, and there's much more of the spicy saffron in BR 540. But if you were able to combine a heavier dose of Delina's sweet powdery rose and sharp lychee with a small dose of BR 540's warm woodiness, you could produce a comparable scent. Next up is Mugler's Angel Nova EDP, which has top notes of raspberry and lychee, a mid note of damask rose, and base notes of acacia wood and benzoin. And this has the nice fruity opening with the raspberry and lychee, but the rose in here is very prominent. It also doesn't have the soft, powdery quality of Red Temptation Summer. It's more woody, and the fruit stays more present and retains its sharpness. I don't find these to be dupes, as Angel Nova is much heavier and doesn't have the musk or other lighter notes. Next, I have Carolina Herrera's Very Good Girl, which has top notes of lychee and red currant, a mid-note of rose, and base notes of vanilla and vetiver. And this has a sharp, fruity opening, and the red currant gives the lychee some added tartness, and I almost instantly get a lot of the sweet vanilla. The rose is also fresh and a bit green, and the vetiver gives the scent an earthiness that isn't in Red Temptation Summer. Overall, Very Good Girl is sweeter and doesn't have the same powdery quality. Then there's Ralph Lauren's Midnight Romance, which has top notes of raspberry, lychee, and bergamot, mid-notes of peony, freesia, and jasmine sambac, and base notes of iris, vanilla, and ambroxan. And this opens with a similar raspberry and lychee combo, but it's brighter with the added bergamot. The florals are also a bit heavier, and the fragrance overall is not as powdery, and has a vanillic sweetness to it. These scents do have a good amount of similarity though, and I feel that Midnight Romance is the closest out of the comps in this video, but since it's sadly discontinued, Red Temptation Summer could be a good alternative. Next, I have Coach's Poppy Flower, which has top notes of citruses, lychee, ivy, and blackcurrant, mid-notes of peony, water lily, rose, jasmine, and raspberry, and base notes of apricot, musk, sandalwood, and amber. And while these share some similar notes, I find them to be pretty different, as Poppy Flower has a lot of greenness and bright citrus, and doesn't have the soft, powdery quality of Red Temptation Summer. It does share the muskiness and the warm amber, but the apricot gives the fruit a very different feel. And the last comp I have is DKNY's Red Delicious, which has top notes of raspberry and lychee, mid-notes of apple, rose, and patchouli, and base notes of leather, amber, and vanilla pod. And this has a heavy fruit opening with the raspberry and lychee, but the patchouli really adds a strong earthy quality. The rose is pretty strong, and the leather, vanilla, and overall spiciness of Red Delicious make the scent very different from Red Temptation Summer. So while they share common notes, I don't find the scents to be that similar. So that's it for my review of the new Zara Red Temptation Summer. I think it's a really lovely, soft, powdery, fruity floral scent, and I think it will be really nice for the warm weather months. Let me know what you think of Red Temptation Summer and if you're going to give it a try. Thank you for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.